America, it might be time to start really being concerned. Remember when I discussed the elements that indicate that democracy might be slipping? One of them, if you remember, was the fact that the executive no longer listens to the judiciary. Well, it looks like you can check that off your bingo card. Let me give you a brief overview of what happened and why you should be concerned. Just a few days ago, the President of the United States signed this executive order allowing the executive to have virtually unchecked powers in dealing with specific categories of people. And in execution of that order, the United States prepared for the deportation of hundreds of gang members from the United States to El Salvador after the Salvadorian president found an agreement with the United States to house at a cost those prisoners. But just a few hours after the executive order was signed, a federal judge issued a temporary injunction preventing the administration from enforcing that order and verbally ordered that those prisoners not be deported. And the administration responded to that court order basically saying, too bad, they're already on the airplane. We'll let it land in El Salvador. Let me put it in perspective. The United States now has an executive that issues presidential orders that allow for a level of executive powers that are unchecked and unbridled. And when the court system says, nah, that order might be unlawful, you have to stop, this executive says, I don't care. And let's be clear about something. The self-appointed authority by the executive to simply ignore court orders is the result of a stage that has been set by the White House quite some time ago. The ability by the press secretary of the White House to stand in front of world media and simply say that court orders are unlawful or unconstitutional when they don't go their way is the first step in the executive eventually being able to simply ignore it. And that's exactly what happened, and that is a sign of things to come. Because the framers of our Constitution set up a system of checks and balances that only works in one condition, when each one of the three branches is independent and respects the authority of the others. The job of this branch is to tell the other two when they exceed their power and when their orders are unlawful. And let me point out that courts are not infallible, but in our constitutional system, the job of the executive, if it thinks that the court made a mistake, is to appeal that decision and not to simply say, I'm going to do it anyway. Stage one of the deterioration of our democracy is when the executive branch doesn't listen to the orders of the judicial branch. And step two is when, after seeing that the executive branch overreaches its authority against the judicial, the legislative branch stays in place and does absolutely nothing. We've seen step one in action just a few hours ago, and everything suggests that, unfortunately, stage two is not far behind. And if you think that this is unique in history and so it couldn't possibly happen, it's happened before. It happened in the 1920s in Italy and in the 1930s in Germany, just to name two examples. We might be witnessing the degradation of our democracy, and I hope and I pray that every one of you is paying attention.